Hey you guys, it's about 1:30 on this Monday morning, and I can't sleep a wink, but thank God tomorrow's my senior release day. But anyway, I'm really bored and I'm really not tired, so I'm going to show you my vintage record collection. And I'm not going to show myself on screen because I look terrible right now. Okay, first we have Madonna's first album. Love her or hate her, she's still Madonna. Okay, next we have the granddaddy of all albums, Thrilla. Now what really disappoints me about this is that the record is not in there. My mom swears up and down she did not have this record, but I found this sleeve in her room, and she doesn't know where the record came from or where the sleeve came from, so that remains a mystery. Next we have The Doors' first album. I got it at a flea market, which is why it's in this bag. I paid $7 for it. The record's in there. It plays pretty good. Isn't that cool? Okay. Next we have Elton John's Greatest Hits. Now, I'm a softie for Elton John. I don't know. He's just one of those artists who's a guilty pleasure for some. People love him legitimately. I'm like in a middle ground. I swear, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road should be my prom song. Okay. Next we have something that totally contradicts Elton John. I have no idea why I own this album, but Kisses Alive, the live double album that basically defined the overabundance of 70s rock music. Now, I really only bought this album for one song, Strutter. It's a good version of the song, but I still don't know why I own this record. Now, this one was my mom's album, a-ha's Take On Me, or Hunting High and Low. But really, they were a one-hit wonder, and the only song they're known for is Take On Me, so go figure that I would call it that. Next, we have a 45 that was really hard to find. Elvis Presley, Don't Be Cruel, and on the flip side, Hound Dog. Now, as you can tell, this record was played a lot to whoever owned this before. It's a really good album. I'm actually surprised it works, considering how old it is. 1956, 57? Any of those years? Next, we have the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. As you can tell, this was when the Beatles started to change their style. This is when they brought in the whole psychedelic thing. You know, Lucy and the Sky with Diamonds supposedly stood for LSD. And then you have really trippy songs like Benefit from Mr. Kite and A Day in the Life. But anyway, it's one of their best albums. The Ramones' Pleasant Dreams. Now, the Ramones are my all-time favorite band. And for all us true Ramones fans, the Ramones did not like this album. Number one, because it was produced by Graham Gouldman, who was the singer for 10cc, one of the schmaltzy contemporary bands of the 70s. Now, I won't go into a long explanation about why this album. It is a good album. It has a lot of songs I like, but the Ramones themselves didn't really like it. I don't know why. I think it's a great album. Okay, next we have Jefferson Airplane's Surrealistic Pillow. This is a stoner album. Why? Because it has the ultimate stoner song, White Rabbit. I really think this is when people started to think that Alice in Wonderland was about drugs. I didn't think about it was drugs until I heard this song. Next we have another Beatle album, Beatles' Help. Now, I'm surprised I got this record for as cheap as I did. I got it for $6. But you can see why, because whoever owned it before I wrote her name on it, and the sleeve is not in good shape at all. But it works. It sounds pretty good, and good album. Sorry, I can't talk. Next we have the soundtrack to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Now, this is one of my all-time favorite musicals, not just because, it was as strange as it was when it originally came out. But it just has some great songs, Time Warp, Sweet Transvestite, Happy Tootie, Bless My Soul. I'm sorry you guys had to hear me sing, I'm sorry. Next we have a record that doesn't have a sleeve, Metallica's Kill 'Em All. This was their first album, and it kicks your ass, to say the least. Just listen to the song Whiplash, and you will know why headbanging was invented and why the song is called Whiplash. Next we have, this was one of my mom's albums from when she was a kid, the soundtrack to Grease. Now, this was a double album and only one of the records is still in there. And you can't see it from here, but the record is really, really scratched up, which means my mom overplayed it when she was about 10 years old. Okay, next we have Just a Sleeve. The record isn't in here. Men at Work, Business as Usual. And it has their hit Down Under, which I just read whoever sued them for the song won because it has the line from the Kookaburra song. Kookaburra lives in the old tree, da 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 da. They come from a land down under. Next we have what I think is a rare album, Mother Love Bone. Mother Love Bone, I thought it was called like Apple or something. Now, Mother Love Bone was really one of the first grunge bands. I know a lot of people think Nirvana was, but when did this album come out? 1990, a year before Nirvana's Nevermind. It does have two songs that they're basically known for, Man of Golden Words and Crown of Thorns. But doesn't have the song that was named after me, Chloe Dancer. Oh well. Next we have Janis Joplin's Greatest Hits. What can you say about Janis Joplin? She rocks. This album came out 3 years after her death, and just has her greatest songs. What can you say? It's a greatest hits album. Next we have a 45 of the Knack's My Sharona. Now, for those of you who don't know me personally, My Sharona was the first song I ever liked when I was about 3 years old. There is a home video of me somewhere of me jumping around in my backyard to the song. No, I don't think I'll ever post it. Next we have one of my favorite albums, Blondie's Parallel Lines. I just love Blondie. They were part of the CBGB scene along with the Ramones, and forget the modern starlets nowadays. Debbie Harry is the person I want to look like. I mean, just look at her hair. She actually pulls off the dark hair under the blonde hair perfectly. This has a lot of great songs. Hanging on the Telephone, One Way or Another, Heart of Glass. This is probably the best version of Heart of Glass I've ever heard. Next we have a particularly rare album. This is my mom's. Kill for Thrills, Commercial Suicide. Now, from what I know, Kill for Thrills was this is a rare record to my knowledge. They were kind of part of the hair metal scene, but my mom says this is a rarity because they were a really good band and they only made like 2 or 3 albums. Next we have Just a Record, No Sleeves. The original movie soundtrack to Saturday Night Fever. Now, from what I can see, this has a very, very long version of Disco Inferno. And I've listened to it, and it's just basically another disco line, and then it starts singing. This was my mom's album, Blondie, Auto-American. It really only has 2 memorable songs on it, Tide is High and Rapture. Rapture was actually considered like one of the first rap songs, even though the rap is kind of horrible. And it talks about an alien coming down to Earth, eating cars, and then he starts eating bars. Whatever. This album I got for a birthday present from one of my friends. The Doors, Alive, She Cried. This is a live album, and it's the only album that has their version of Gloria on it. Excuse me. And it's a really good song. I'm sorry. I ate something. Now, for anyone who has a mom who was a teenager in the 80s, or an older sister, or an aunt, you're bound to find this record somewhere. Now, to be fair, for as much as I despise the hair metal scene, this was actually a decent album. It